Greetings and salutations. We're back with some more Nuzlocke. Now, we're going into the I think it's Team Galactic battle. And if I recall correctly, they have a lot of Peruglies. Not immediately, but eventually. And Perugli's pretty fast. I actually do want to get a Perugly in this. I'm going to frag that Zubat. Just punch it right out of the sky. Yeah, we each had the same idea. She kills the Wurmple and I kill the Zubat. Of course, my person hits like a wet noodle. I love how she's just running around with a single Chimchar. That's another idea I want to try. Is a solo starter run where I don't catch anything. I just have just my starter. Let's see how far I can make it with just my starter. And yeah, that one I would go with the spinner too. I'd have to go with the spinner to select it. Imagine getting stuck with a Chimchar. Oof. That's great. Awesome. That's great. I'm never going to decorate the ball capsules. It's fine. Cool. I already have my Route 204 captures, so... we're going to carry on. The question is... let's see here. I need... the question is do I want to... found Rock Tomb. Do I want to continue... do I want to grind in here? Or do I want to... because I mean, I'm likely to get a lot of Geodudes. Oh, there's a Zubat. Can't catch anything in here, so... Zubat, although, would be an amazing capture because Crobat's absolutely bonkers. Unfortunately, they're just a nuisance. I was contemplating if I wanted to continue on going the way I'm going or try to go back to the previous route and get the thing just north of Orberg and do a capture on that route. Yeah. I figured she was just going to look at me and be like, hey, you there. Ow. Look at that. It's like a quintessential office lady. She just got off work. She's got her aroma on, and she's out here just, I'm going to go out and battle wild Pokemon. All of a sudden, a trainer comes by, and she's like, You with the Pokeballs, get over here and fight me for money. You think they ever feel bad for shaking down kids for their lunch money? I mean, realistically speaking, that's pretty much what Pokemon battles are. Loser pays the winner. It's like you're a bully running around shaking people down for money. I mean, let's not even go into the psychological ramifications that Pokemon is nothing more than a functional look at Stockholm Syndrome. I mean, if you think about it, you throw a Pokeball, you capture these animals, and then you make them do things for you, and they grow friendly and bond with you over it. That's legitimately Stockholm Syndrome. Is someone falling in love with their captor. Except in this one, it's friendliness. So they just get friendly with their captor. It's still Stockholm Syndrome. And it's like, that's harrowing. I mean, I get the idea of why they did it. Like, you know, the creator used to collect bugs. He was into, oh, what's the name of that hobby? Was it anthropology? I can't remember. Can't remember if it was anthropology or arthropology. I think arthropods are a certain type of insect, but I can't remember if it was anthropology or whatnot. I think it was, but don't quote me on that. Nevertheless, he was into that, and he was going around collecting moths and things, and he thought to himself, how about I make a game where you do that, but you can make them fight one another. Great concept, great idea. Obviously, because it's still around. Of course, you have the people out there, the detractors, that'll sit there and say, well, it's now Ilka and, like, these other companies that are doing it. It's like, so what? It's still his brainchild. People still play it. It's still fun. I mean, people are getting excited over Pokemon Legends Arceus. Hey. There we go. Hopefully it'll pick up Aerial Ace. That way they can't avoid me. Hopefully. Nope. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna put Tone Deaf first. And we'll put Stella second, because this is a double battle coming up. And I didn't want them... Okay, not a good idea to go out with the Staravia. That's a very bad idea. Well, this is Tone Deaf, so he could just struggle bug him. Oh good, I mean, they're all just weak to electric. I need a ground type. Because, I mean, with double electric, eek. Hit him with some more struggle bug. His Fury Cutter is absolutely bonkers for damage. Like, if you let him get more than one Fury Cutter, the second one does like 20% more, and then the third one does 20% more. And it just keeps... Pardon me. Just keeps cumulatively growing. So, it can get kind of nuts, let me be honest with you. Even more so if you put Metronome on him. Most people don't run Metronome. So I actually do. I run Metronome on my Skeledirge in Scarlet and Violet. Now, for Terror raids anyway. Should he learn Absorb? I mean, it gives him rock ground coverage. Sure. You know what? He's got... No. No. Struggle Bug is a means to an end. Because Struggle Bug lowers their special attack. That's the whole purpose. Fury Cutter's like going to be the bread and butter here. Absorb with his low special attack isn't really going to help anything. Yeah, it gives him coverage, but... I've got other coverage options on other Pokemon, so that just seems kind of foolish. I mean, he's gonna be the anchor for like the first 3 gyms, I think. Outside of the rock gym, of course. The grass gym, he's definitely gonna be the anchor. 100%. Bullet Seed. Now, if he can learn Bullet Seed, that'd be huge. Then again, would it? If you think about it, like, Bullet Seed, what are you going to use it for? Because if you used Bullet Seed, you'd have, like, rock coverage, but then you're playing into their defense. They're higher defense, not so high special defense. You're almost just better off taking the hit on the defense, or taking a hit and then just switching into a Badoo at that point, because then you're looking at, you're hitting their special defense, which they're weak in. You have Absorb, which you're getting life back from. You have type advantage, the same type of attack boost, so it's almost a smarter move to just eat the damage on the swap within reason. Really, Team Galactic? Out 205. That means I have another capture I can get. Now, Space aliens? Oh, they're just gonna shove me out of the way. I can't catch anything in the Valley Windworks, because that's not Route 205. Now, if it was Friday, I could catch the Drifloon. Because the Drifloon's a static encounter. And I can catch it as many times, because it's a static encounter. It's not a legendary. And it's perfectly available. Of course, a lot of Nuzlockers would be like, no, actually. And they would have a problem with it. But I don't ever catch more than one. Usually if I catch one, I try to run with just the one. Spectacular. I would love to get a Glameow. Would love it. It'd be crazy because you could run Fake Out, U-Turn, Hypnosis, and a 4th move on him, and it's just gross. I mean, the Fake Out is just free damage. The next abilities, you know, like U-Turn is, especially if you're faster, which Perugly is lightning fast as is, you can technically just be like, Fake Out, free damage, U-Turn, free damage, switch. And if there's something that's slower, you can stay in and take a 70% dice roll on the hypnosis landing. But if you do put them to sleep, you pretty much have fair game to just pummel them into the dirt. I mean, Perugly is just nasty. Should I attempt for a Heracross on the tree? Slather it? I might get a Snorlax. Also a static encounter, too. I might. I'm thinking about it. Requires sweet honey and time. I don't want to sit there and just wait. As if I just sat there and waited, it would feel awful. Because then I'm just like, day 32 of looking for a Snorlax / Heracross on the tree. Zubat, Silcoon. Don't Silcoons have, like, Poison Sting or something like that? They have Harden. Can you imagine if they did... That would be cool if they did that, though. They give, like, Silcoon and Metapod Body Press. Because all they have is Harden. Just give them Body Press. It's like, oh, I'm going to build up the defense and then just Body Press you. Imagine getting bodied by a Metapod. Yikes. So that's 2 evolutions. 3 if you count Kricketune. But Kricketune evolves at like, what, N? 11? Or Kricketot, I should say. So this is 3 evolutions. So now we have the Luxio. Not the Luxray yet, but that's going to help. More stats. More damage. Badoo needs to evolve, though, into Roserade. Not Roserade, Roselia. Then into Roserade. Because if I can get the Roserade, oof. Fast, grass type, grass poison. Roserade's nutty. Roserade's very nutty. Why does he have it? Yep, they were trying to rob you of your sweet honey, and then they're just like, ah, yes, well, here, you can have the honey they were trying to steal from me. Meanwhile, visible confusion intensifies. Sadly, that's not the place where you need to go with the Gracidia to get Shaman. It should be, because it's like Floroma Town, all the flowers. Shaman should be there. Not the case. Surprised you didn't say, like, the key broke. Be like, ah, yes, it's a one-time entry. Nothing. Trying to think what I need to flesh out the rest of my team. I mean, I have a lot of electric weakness. Then again, I could also send out the eventual Lux Ray to not have to really worry about that. Yeah, I'm gonna switch. I'm not gonna sit here and try to absorb off all the life off this. Absolutely not. You know what? We're gonna use the Fury Cutter. Let's show everybody. You'll see. The first one's probably not going to do all that much damage. And then wait until you see the second one. Even though this thing's using Harden, the second one will probably take almost all of his life. Yeah. Fury Cutter. Well, knowing what I know, putting Sprouty out there is probably a bad idea. We'll go with Stella. She hadn't been the lead out in a while. Intimidate? Yeah. Now imagine if I do that with a doubles, in the doubles battle, when I get my Gyarados. When Medusa turns into a Gyarados. Intimidate ×2, drop him by 2 stages. That right there might be a winning ticket. We'll see though. I mean, it's hard telling. There's a fake out. Glameow had no defenses. I guess the Glameow, the emphasis is on ow. Now, I don't know. I don't know if it's Perugly or Perugly. I like to say Perugly, even though it's probably Perugly, because it's, you know, ugly. This is going Saturn, Mars, Man or Mars. Eventually, you just realize they're just demented Sailor Scouts from the 1980s Sailor Moon. This is what they did after, you know, they fell off out of Sailor Moon. They're just like, oh, we're gonna join Team Galactic and try to recreate the world using Pokemon. I mean, doesn't make any sense. Doesn't have to, I guess. There it is. This fat Tubalard. Ow. Yeah, it's definitely faster than me. Not good. I'll hit him with a Fury Cutter. Not good. I should be able to survive the scratch. I did. Good. And he survived that, too. That's what I said, this Brugly's tough. Ow. I mean, I have it in the bag now, because I can survive the scratch unless it's a crit. And even if that was the case, I could always bring in Stella and Quick Attack. So, I had it in the bag once I survived the scratch. Got close there, though. I was not a fan of that. I love how they call you an annoying brat. It's like, wait a minute. I love how they wanted energy, and yet they took over a wind power plant. Don't you think they would have, like, wanted to aim for something a little bit more powerful than wind? Maybe geothermal? Maybe nuclear? I mean, after all, if the wind's not blowing, you're not generating power. So on those days where it's nice and still and there's nothing going on, your wind generator's just kind of chilling. You're just kind of looking at it like, it's a prime piece of real estate right there. Meanwhile, you could have just... Isn't there also a volcano in this game sometime? And then it's like, why didn't they just use that? I could be wrong. I thought there was a volcano at one point. Medusa, you need to learn something. Anything right now. I gotta sell those. And he can learn Rock Smash. And he can learn Work Up. The Gyarados can learn absolutely nothing. It's not even a Gyarados yet, but it's a... Anyway, the other one cannot learn anything. He's smart as a fence post. Yeah, if I get 10 net balls, I'm gonna get 10 heal balls too. Mostly because, you know, if I heal it, if I catch it in a heal ball, then I don't have to immediately take it back to the Poké Center, because it'll be healed. So, we're going to see what my 205 capture is. After I pummel this thing. Hamper Jacob. That wouldn't be a bad thing to get if it was a wild encounter. It'd actually be a... I like that. I would like a Ponyta. Rapidash is fast, got the fire typing. Would cover my grass resistance. Still wouldn't do anything for the rock ground. I mean, well, for electric, I mean. So I'd have to think up of something. What I do? Ice type, maybe? Later on? If I can get there? So if I could get there and get an ice type, I mean, then we'd be talking. Because then you'd be looking at, you know, I'd have grass covered, rock covered, ground covered. Dragon. I'd have dragon covered. That'd be kind of useful. Well, let's see what the first encounter is here. Ooh, a Shellos. Now hold up. Hold up. It becomes a Gastrodon. I can't over DPS it, but I can't leave Medusa in there because he'll get destroyed. It's ground type, so that covers the electric weakness. It gets access to a lot of good abilities. So we're going to throw a Netball at it, because Netball works well, I think, on water type and bug type. And I already know what to name it. Because it turns into a Gastrodon. I'm naming it Fidel Gastro. Oh, yeah. Right now it's a water type, but it becomes... Oh, crap. I just hit B. I need to rename you. No, not that. Hold on, let me look it up. I should have just hit rename. I autopiloted that so hard. I've made a mistake. Brilliant Diamond. Would help if I could spell. At least spell properly. Renamer. Name Raider, but... Eternia City. Eternia City. Well, let me find out where that is on a map. Orberg. Hey, Eternia City. There we go. So, as a man of my word, what we will do is we will put Shellos, because I did not name it. We're going to put it over here in box 1. He is my capture for 30 or 20. What is this? 205? He's my capture for Route 205. I'm not allowed to use him until I rename him. So I have to make it to Eternia City, rename him, and then I can use him. Until that point, he sits in the box. But Gastrodon is a massive, massive boon. Because it covers a lot of weaknesses. And it's got good defenses, too. I also had a lot of stuff weak to fire. This solves that. He can learn Recover. He can learn Mud Slap. He can learn Scald. He can learn everything he needs. And if he becomes nice and bulky, you're never going to stop him. Never. Because he can learn Toxic. Imagine that. You know, just Toxic Recover. Scald Recover. Surf Recover, whatever. You could, unless the things come out with a Steel type somewhere, you're just going to run the table. And even if they come out with a Steel type, he learns Earth Power. So unless... That's a big unless. Unless there is... a Levitate Steel type, Shellos got it covered. I did do one. This is a Nuzlocke quite a while ago. And I had a Geodude, and he was sturdy, and he knew Explosion. And in an effort to save my run, I set him out. I hit Explosion, right? And I was like, I've got nothing. Like, if he doesn't KO the enemy, it's over. And I hit the Explosion key. I get hit. Takes me down to 1 HP. And it lights him on fire, right? I'm like... And he goes, cracks off the explosion, gets the KO on the enemy, and I was just like... giving him like the best salute ever, because the send-off was that he took care of himself to take care of the opponent. And I thought to myself, man, that right there is the Pokemon to save my run. Ended up losing a couple of gym fights later, but nevertheless, he did do it. He was a Graveler at the time. Yeah, not very effective. And there goes like 2/3 of your life in one hit. There. Obviously, my Medusa is still not a 13. Not a 16, sorry. Needs to be a 16 to get to be a Gyarados. It's tough trying to get a Magikarp to a Gyarados. It's really, really hard. Even with the swap training like this, I mean, it's because he ends up becoming a dragon type. Well, pseudo dragon. Mega evolution, he becomes dragon water, but he becomes water flying, and he has such a slow experience gain, even his Magikarp. Great. That's exactly what I needed. Was a stun spore on my Staravia. It's exactly what I needed. In fact, I was writing it down on a wish list of things I wanted. Yes, I will forever be a cynic. Forever. I mean, I might as well just do all these trainers. Get them out of the way. Camper Zachary. Look at, like, okay. Look at poor Magikarp. He's just sitting there flopping, gasping for breath. It's like cue the Sarah McLachlan commercial, you know? Many Magikarps will be left out in the cold if people don't donate, $15 a month to save the Magikarp fund. Meanwhile, Magikarp's out there just flopping sideways with his mouth wide open, gasping for air. How cruel of a trainer must you be to be like, yep, I went out and I caught 5 Magikarps. They're all sitting here in the ball, flopped sideways, gasping for breath. It's like, you sick individual. Oh boy. This gauntlet's getting to be a little extraneous. Dude, I mean, look at it. Sitting there flopping, gasping for air. It's like, oh. You know what? You know how PETA, the people for ethical treatment of animals, they always do everything, even if it's about digitized animals or like other stuff like that? How come PETA doesn't do anything about Pokemon? They don't say a word. They're just like, oh, well, you know, these animals are beating each other up. That's fine. I bet you PETA will actually put their foot down and put the kibosh to Liar's Bar. Because in the game Liar's Bar, you have basically what is essentially cartoon animals playing Russian roulette. And it's like, surprised PETA didn't look at that and be like, that's cruelty to animals that don't actually exist. Sneak through here. I'm trained to not hold back. Okay, really? Battle Girl Kelsey. I mean, don't you think they could have just said pugilist? Should just called her a pugilist. That's what they are. They run around punching people. Just call them a pugilist. That's not good. That's even worse. There we go. Endeavor. Oof. You know what? Yeah. We'll do that. I think that'd be a very good usage of my time. Because then you can Endeavor, lower their HP to your HP, and then try to get the KO. Please tell me I can rest here. Oh wait, I should probably go talk to that guy in there. He's a bug trainer. He's got something, I'm sure. Oh. That's it? You're challenging me. Can you think you can get through Eterna Forest by yourself? No, I was thinking of going through it with a couple of Sherpas and a blind guide. Seems to be working. It's a great idea. Don't remind me of what I've lost. Throws out a Piplup. Here, I want you to look at the thing you lost. You put it out there and let it go to the grave against a Cranidos. Looking at me like I'm some sort of cruel, heartless individual. That's... I love it when they do things like that. Oh, yes, I'm going to crater your attack. I'm using Thunder Shock, which is special, but I'm going to crater your attack. Okay. Thanks for attempting. You made an attempt, +1. Oh, right, I had to make it through Eterna Forest, huh? Well, isn't that sad? I can't even use the super potion. It's money, though. That's a plus. Just press on, dude. Oh, she'll keep my Pokemon in perfect health. Great. So, I'm not allowed to catch anything in Eterna Forest. I'm not allowed a capture here. It is denied. So... oh, good. I forgot Cheryl uses a Chansey, which is utterly worthless. I mean, it's a Chansey. They're not utterly... I can't say they're utterly worthless, they themselves, right? A Chansey in and of itself is not utterly worthless. A Chansey in the hands of Cheryl here, forget it. You have a better chance of winning if you ran around and started beating the Pokemon with a stick. Not that you would, unless you were playing Legends Arceus. And again, you throw, I think you end up like throwing mud at them. You throw stuff at it, like mud balls and other things at it. My team's not going to have any speed left. For what it is, Chansey is a solid special attack, or special defense. And it can, it can be used for special... We'll get rid of Leer. That way I have a special option anyway. You can use it. You can use Chansey as a special attacker, but it requires you having Lucky Punch. That's an item, held item. Lucky Punch is a rather... yes, I'm picking up Sing, because you can put things to sleep and it will give you a win. I've used it before. Lucky Punch is a held item that only gives a boost to Chansey while being held. And the held item that the boost it gets is... it gives Chansey an increased critical hit chance. Now, you put moves on Chansey that increase your critical hit as it is, plus the Lucky Punch, and if you work toward having a special defense minded Chansey, you can kind of tank hits and then return the damage quite readily. It's an interesting build. I've seen it before. One more level. One more level and it becomes a Gyarados. And yes, it was Gyarados doing a strike. I'm a very simple-minded individual sometimes. Hey, you gotta have fun with it, you know? My theory is this: if you're not having fun in life, if you're not having fun doing what you're doing, do something else. Have fun with it, you know? The goal is not to create. Just the goal is not hitting a goal, right? I was saying this to my friend Dylan. He's got 1 million people on TikTok now. He's actually over 1 million, and he's got, I don't know how many on YouTube. I haven't checked. And I was telling him, because he was kind of in a funk, and he had hit this, he had hit this not really this skids, but he hit a funk, and he was just kind of like, man, I'm bummed. I don't know what to do. He's like, I'm running out of ideas. And not really running out of ideas. He's like, I just don't feel like it because I've already made. He's like, my goal was to hit 1 million followers on TikTok. He's like, and then when I got to 1 million followers on TikTok, he's like, I just didn't have anything else I wanted to do. He's like, I don't know what to do now. And I looked at him and I said, there doesn't always have to be a goal. You can create just to create. That's what I do. I said, take a look at my entire channel. My entire channel is creating for the sake of creation. That's it. Would it be nice to have 1 million subscribers on YouTube? Sure. Yeah, absolutely. It would be wonderful. It'd be fantastic to get, like, endorsement deals and other stuff like that. Cool, great. Awesome. Sounds wonderful. Is that the goal? No. The goal is to make people entertained. The goal is to have fun while doing it. Put a smile on my own face and others. Because if you end up too business-minded, you're basically lost in the sauce. By being too business-minded, you end up focusing so hard on it being a business and it making you money that it ceases to be about the enjoyment. What was enjoyable now becomes a task and a grind. And you have those people say, oh yeah, man, you gotta respect the grind. Why must it be a grind? Why can't it not just be an adventure? Why can it not just be you doing something for the enjoyment of the consumer and the enjoyment of self? This is also why I leave my stuff unedited. There's multiple reasons why I leave my stuff unedited. But one of the key reasons is that I want people to see it in its raw, organic form. The mistakes, the ups, the downs, everything. And I've said this multiple times on this channel. Multiple times. But being able to see those errors and being able to see where, I could look at it and just kind of say to myself, yep, I had made a mistake there. And think to myself, will I make that mistake again? Probably not. Then again, I'm just foolish enough that I might. Hard telling. But at the end of the day, I don't sit there and think, oh man, I'm not getting the numbers, or I'm not getting the view count, or I'm not getting something. I don't sit there and dwell on it. Some people do. Some people do. But what I ended up doing is when I was telling him this, and then it's just create for the sake of creation, he got to the point in his mind that he was like, you know what? That's what I'm going to do. And it re-energized him. And it re-energized him to the point where he was making more content for TikTok. He was making more content for this, that, and the other thing. And he's back at it. Sometimes all it takes is that little spark. Kind of like that one. That little spark just to push somebody and say, there you go. You got it back. Now, some people, regardless of what happens, they won't get that spark back because it's not the, they won't get the spark back because to them, they don't feel as though they've lost it. You know what I mean? So there has to be... It's a hard way of looking at it, because there has to be a sense of lack. And in that sense of lack, there has to be this desire to do more. And between those two, you come up with a way of desiring to do more, okay? And that's what eventually makes people strive to do better. Now, there's another thing that lack does, and this is kind of like a key point that I want to tell people who have kids. If you're starting a family and you have a couple of kids, or 3, 4, 12, 1, doesn't matter how many. If you were to sit there and take the mindset of, I want to give my child everything I never had, what you end up doing is you end up creating a child that is very, not spoiled per se, but they want for nothing. Their desire's not there. They don't seek to improve because it's all handed to them on a platter. And they're just like, well, I'll just get it anyway because there it comes. They just kind of brush their shoulder off and they don't care. Now, if you give them the artificial sense of lack, meaning, let's say you make enough money to provide them, a vacation trip or, gifts when they go out and behave in public, etc., and so on and so forth. And a lot of families get gifts for the kids when they behave in public. But if you give them the sense of artificial lack by saying something like, we can't afford that. Even if you can, okay, a 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-old, up to maybe 9 years old won't fully understand the we can't afford that. And then at the end of the year, you giving them that sense of artificial lack, you hit them with the, well, we're going to take a vacation. This is why we couldn't afford those things throughout the year. What this will do is this programs the kid to look at something and say, okay, patience allows me to get something better in the end if nothing happens now. So now, instead of wanting and yearning after everything in the store, but not having the drive to, do it themselves, it sets this person up for wanting to better themselves. Now, when I grew up as a kid, we didn't have artificial lack, we had actual lack. We grew up poor. And it was through a lot of determination, and it was through a lot of kind of blood, sweat, and tears that allowed our family to get where we got, what we got, and how we got it. And it taught me to rely on self. It taught me to really put forward the idea of, I need to do this for me because nobody else is going to give it to me. No one else is just going to hand that to me. And I learned that from the lack that I had throughout life. And of course, people would say, well, you had lack your entire life, and now, look at where you are. Look at what you have. Yeah, and I count my blessings for everything that I've gotten, and everything that I have. But it was through that lack that it taught me a lesson. And the lesson I learned was desire and pursuing either a material good or an event or something, having that drive and that desire, having the desire and the want to, gives you the drive to go achieve it. And it teaches you a life lesson that you wouldn't otherwise learn by having everything handed to you. And people say, oh, well, that's the life lesson of hard work right there. And it's like, yes. Effectively, yes, the life lesson of hard work. But you do it in such a way that the child will understand. By just saying, oh, well, we can't afford that. They understand that better than just, you know, the parents saying no. Because the kid's going to ask why. But if you say, oh, well, we can't afford that. They don't really ask anything about that because they look at it and go, okay, it's a system beyond their comprehension at the time. And even if they do manage to comprehend, you know, the monetary system, they still don't know how much you make income-wise. And they don't understand how many bills you have. So there's a lot of factors in it that you can use that as a form of artificial lack to then give them the payoff at the end for not being, not really demanding, but overly requesting. You know, like, oh, I want this, I want that. Because kids do that all the time. They'll see a toy in the store, or they'll see, you know, like a candy bar, and you'll hear all these kids having a crying fit about it. And it's like, well, sorry, I can't afford it. Then they usually sit there and they go, oh. Some of them still cry, but a lot of them just kind of, you know, sit back for a second in their mind, and they're just like, because they have to figure out what that means. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to bump it. So artificial lack is a great way of getting that mentality of, you know, getting rid of the whole I want. I mean, there was a guy, he was a guru. And his name was Sadhguru. And he's probably still alive. He's probably still making videos too. Sadhguru sat there and he was saying, people are creatures of desire and want. He's like, if I was to give you something, you would look at something else and say, I want. And then you would look at something more and say, I want. He's like, eventually, you could have everything under the sun. You would have everything. You could have everything in the entire planet, and you would look up at the stars and say, "I want." And that's very poignant. That's a very poignant statement. And because that's what most people do. They look at something and say, "Oh, I want." Which is, as I'm gonna be ending the video once we get to the next area, and I can rename my Shellos to Fidel Gastro. But if you take a look at needs versus wants, what is a necessity and what is a luxury? Okay? We hit an interesting little snag when you look at it that way. Here's what I mean. What's a necessity? Now, for some people, they would say, well, having that other person, having a wife, a husband, what have you, that's a necessity. I disagree. And the reason I disagree is simple. That is what we have been told is a necessity. Is it a necessity? No. You could survive without it. I'm living proof. I've been surviving and living without a significant other. No girlfriend, no fiance, no wife. I'm living just fine without it. So, it's not a necessity. it's a luxury. Necessities: food, water, oxygen. Shelter is not even a necessity because you can still survive without shelter. That's kind of a luxury. Areas permitting, because obviously, you know, colder climates, you do need that shelter in the winter. But I digress. Shelter is somewhat of a necessity. Food, water, oxygen are all necessities. Without them, you will perish. Pretty straightforward. Now, after those three, food, water, oxygen, everything else is legitimately... I'm going to skip these trainers for now. Everything else is luxury. Complete luxury. Okay. So now that we know that everything else is complete luxury, and they are not necessities, they become wants, desires. They're not critical for life's functioning. And now that we're here at Eterna City, I can rename my Shellos. We're going to do just that. We're going to go over to the Pokemart over here. Or is it the Pokemart? Where is it? I could be wrong. It wasn't at the Pokemart. It was at the... There's like a big apartment complex. It's right there. Is it cut? Is it cut? Can I cut things down? Yay! He's in that tall thing. I can't use it yet. Well, that looks like a thing for a different day. Guess I can't level my Shellos yet. I have to finish the second gym. But I think what I was getting at with the whole necessity and necessity luxury is the fact that you have these people out there that say they need things. And it's not necessarily a need. It's a want, but it's a strong want. And they supplant it in their head as a need. Now, I think that's very... I can't even say bad, but it's misleading. Because you're sitting there and you're going, ah, yes, I'm going to change this from a want to a need. So this is where this artificial lack also comes in and helps out people every day like you and I. Because having that artificial lack, it allows you to quantify what you can get by with, what you can succeed with, what you can do with and do without. And it makes you more humble. It makes you more grounded. It allows you to take a look at life and say, you know what? It's not about the items in life. It's not even about the people in life. It's about the experiences in life. And not all experiences need to cost money. In fact, the majority of the experiences that you go through in your life are free. And when you experience them, you don't realize that they're free, and you don't realize that they were an experience until later in life. Then you look back on it and you say, oh, okay. And it dawns on you, that realization, that these experiences that you went through didn't cost you a nickel, but impacted you in such a way that you'll never understand it completely. And then each and every person has that ability When you interact with someone's life, you are like tossing a stone into the still pond. You create a ripple. How big the ripple is depends on how big of a stone you toss and how hard you toss it. In some people's pond, you are nothing more than a mere gust of wind as a ripple. You're not very impactful. In other people's pond, you overturn everything in the pond with the ripple you leave. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. Being that being the case, if I could speak today, that'd be great. I'm struggling with everything today. That being the case, it kind of helps to sit there and think about what you're going to say before you say it, right? I do that a lot, and you'll hear me kind of weave in and out of topics and hem and haw, and I'm coming up with how to build the sentence in my head before it comes out my mouth, and I sound like a complete buffoon. Now, there is one minor thing here. No matter how you want to be as a ripple, there is something that I must tell everybody, and that is be honest with people. Honesty. Just strictly honesty. And if you're honest with people and they don't like it, it's a them thing, not a you thing. What I've learned in my life is that 9 times out of 10, when you're honest with somebody, they'll sit right there and they'll go, cool. I like that person. They're pretty straightforward. They're down to earth. They're honest. The other 1 out of 10 times, they look at you and they're like, this guy's a complete douche. Had that happen too. I've had somebody do both. They appreciated my honesty but thought I was a complete douche. And that's them. That's a them problem. Not a me problem. But I'm going to leave this video here. I apologize it took that over an hour, but I hope you enjoyed the insights. And I hope you enjoyed the video. I love creating videos, and I hope people enjoy them. And I do it just for the sake of creation, for the sake of the enjoyment out of it. So I hope that you indulge, enjoy, have a fantastic evening, a wonderful tomorrow, and as always, have a good one.